and you're in the stadium, and you've been in the stadium when it was Florida State Clemson, and it truly meant something. Like, these are two top 5 teams in the country, and the place was probably deafening half the time. I don't want to compare it to that, but at least watching on TV, at least it just being a competitive game, an ugly game, but it was still fun to watch, and a competitive, close game down to the last play, that at least it felt like there was a little bit of that old Clemson Florida State juice in the stadium.
Yeah, driving in, I was a little surprised. I knew the crowd was going to be a little smaller. I was expecting that, but it was much smaller than I was expecting. I could tell just driving in, the lots were not nearly as full as they usually are, and there were a lot of empty seats in the upper deck, especially in the corners, much more than we're accustomed to seeing. But when it came down to it in that fourth quarter, that place got loud. I mean, for the number of people that were in, it was loud, and I thought, that there was a lot of recruits on hand, more than I can remember seeing in Clemson in a long time. There was like 2 whole sections in the west end zone full of recruits, and Arch Manning was one of them. So I thought the atmosphere needed to be electric. It needed, and for the number of people that were there, it was pretty impressive, because it got very loud there in that fourth quarter. Florida State had a number of false starts. It kind of disrupted some of the stuff they were trying to do on offense a little bit, I thought. And that crowd definitely had an effect on the game, no doubt.
Got Jason Priester on the line from All Clemson on SI. Please track his work right there, allclemson.com on SI. Voice of college football right here. Please support the channel by hitting the like button, share these videos out on social media, and, of course, subscribe. That way you know when we go live. Jason, you mentioned Arch Manning. And so do you see this as more of a courtesy visit, or do you think Clemson's right in there?
I wouldn't call Clemson one of the leaders at this point by any stretch. He was back. He was here over the summer, worked out for the staff at one of Dabo Swinney's high school camps. I watched him work out, and he's as good as advertised. He is very good. He's accurate, got the arm straight. He's got all the intangibles. But from all accounts, he really enjoyed that visit and really liked what Clemson had to offer. And I talked to his high school coach this morning, and he said, he's talked to Arch and his mom, and they said they really enjoyed the visit. That the atmosphere was really electric, and that was something they were looking for. And whether Clemson can end up landing him, who knows at this point. They say the coach told me this morning, ideally, they'd like to have a decision made by next spring, and he'd like to make another round of visits, maybe in the spring, to go see what campus life is about, and the facilities and all that stuff. But in the end, he's going to be looking for a school that pushes him. What school that pushes him the hardest? I've seen a lot of Clemson fans who are assuming this guy's a diva for some reason, and I don't know where any of that comes from. I've never got that impression. I don't get that impression talking to his coaches or anyone in recruiting circles that I talk to. That this is a kid that doesn't even do social media. I've always thought he looked like a kid that doesn't enjoy the limelight all that much, and his coach confirmed that this morning, that he's not a kid that really looks for the spotlight. He knows he's going to have to deal with it because of who he is and the position he's in. But whoever gets this kid, I think he's going to be a good one. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's something about the DNA there. I tell you, if he comes through and does anything close to what his grandfather or his uncles accomplished, that legacy is it's really remarkable when you think about it. It's incredible think about three guys in the same family that are number 1 picks in the NFL draft, and 2 of them win Super Bowl. It's just, when you add the whole thing up, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, talking to his coach this morning, there was one thing he said that really stuck out with me. He told me that right now he's 6'4" and 220 pounds, and probably the fastest guy on their team. So I mean, that really, I thought he was kind of one of those guys who was probably deceptively quick, but that really stuck out to me when he said he was probably the fastest guy on his team, because that's speed right there.
Yeah, so he didn't get that from his uncles, but his dad was a wide receiver, I believe. at Ole Miss. So he probably got the perfect combination of genes there.